crushing defeat at the hands of the Unicorns of Love.
And already we see adjustments. One, H2K are now on the blue side, Unicorns of Love on the red, and Kane is not gonna see the light of day. Shadow Assassin, Rost, we're never gonna know. H2K do not want to play against it, and I cannot blame them. Cersei, rather, went on a clinic in the previous game.
Now, the Unicorns of Love, before they did not have to ban the Kalista, but now by being on the red side, it means that champions like the Orianna and Alistar, two big bans for them from game one, one of the two will have to be left available. Whereas H2K, they're just targeting some of the comfort. Cho'Gath for Chachi, the Kayn for Cersei, and the Thresh for Hylissang. So H2K are going, you know what? We don't care about meta, we're just going to take stuff that you're really good at, and we're going to ban it.
Want to find out if this is the right choice or not. So often when teams lose games so decisively, they go, everything is wrong, everything has to change. For H2K, at least two of the bans will. Thresh taking off the board the playmakers, as you talked about, Kayn as well. H2K now get the luxury of the first pick. It will be the Xayah locked in. Rakan up and available, as is the Tristana.
The thing is here for H2K, by locking in the Xayah, you force Unicorns into a bit of an awkward situation, because now they either have to go Rakan plus 80 carry, which could be the Tristana. That's a fine duo bot lane, but then H2K can lock themselves the Xayah and the Alistar. And Alistar commonly does very well into the Rakan, but also acts as a really good front line, an engage tool, and is well round a very good support champion. So good for early lock-in of the Xayah will guarantee H2K at least a strong 2 versus 2, which I think is very important for Nuclear and Jay, especially after their performances were quite mixed in their series versus Fnatic.
I like it as well. See, though, Unicorns of Love not going to take the Rakan off for the Alistar instead. Paired with the Tristana, so definitely some playmaking potential on the bottom lane once again. Not quite as long range as the hooks from Hylissang in the previous game, but definitely ready to fight.
It's a bit of an adaptation here from the Unicorns of Love. They're now expecting H2K to go for that Xayah Rakan, and they think that they have a pretty strong answer. I like the change from Unicorns. Their drafts were praised a lot throughout this year, and coming into playoffs, there were a lot of question marks. People felt like they didn't have a good read on the meta. Something that Sheepy did say to me was that we're pretty confident in our understanding of the meta right now, and I feel like they are demonstrating it with their picks right here.
Exile potentially looking for the run back. He says, hey, Bevan, you may not be able to play this matchup. You may have fallen flat, but I am not going to, and he does it. Syndra locked in for Exile.
Big statement there from Exile.
In playoffs, he would have just picked the Talon. That was his go-to against Cassio. He loved the Talon into Cassio matchup, but Sheepy was right. A lot has changed for the Unicorns of Love in the pick ban phase. Not throwing quite as many curveballs, but honestly, not throwing a curveball is kind of a curveball for the Unicorns of Love.
So now what we're missing is junglers and top laners. Sejuani was not picked by H2K in game one. The Jarvan is still available and has not been prioritized by either side. Now, Unicorns, they could go for the Jarvan themselves. The champion does do pretty well into things like the Cassio, who is pretty low in mobility, but can be a little tricky to catch a Xayah thanks to her ultimate. So, same case for H2K. The Jarvan could be a bit of a risky pick, so I actually think that through this draft, it's not going to be a very high-value pick. I feel like that Sejuani will rise in priority in this draft right now. It's just a matter of who has the higher preference of wanting to try and lock that one in.
Curious to see as well, Elise Gragas taken off the board once again. Jankos' jungle pool limited. He may be forced back onto that Jarvan. But the Rumble and the Shen, both things banned away by H2K in the previous game, still up and available. Vizichachi outside of the Gnar, and the Cho'Gath is going to have his pick of top laners. A lot of comfort potential, but H2K taking a lot of time debating what they want to leave up and available for the Unicorns of Love. Renekton going to be taken off. Both the Shen and the Rumble now available here in Game 2.
There we are. It's the lock-in for Rumble. Now we're looking for is an engage tool from the Unicorns of Love. We talked a little bit about the Jarvan. Could work. Really nice combo with both the Rumble and the Jarvan ultimate. You also have the option of the Sejuani, which I think is where H2K is likely to go towards. In terms of options into Jace, I wonder if H2K choose to go for something like the Jace here into the Rumble, or whether or not they're going to go more conventional. Just thinking about some of the other tanks that could be available, but a lot of things have been banned away. Instead, they're just going to keep it straight and simple. I think this is a bit of a risk against champions like the Tristana, but it can be effective if you look to roam around mid and try and shut Exile down.
And also, Rumble is just such a good counter-engage champion with the Equalizer. If you come to him, he's going to be happy to dish out that damage. But on the opposite side, a lot of engage potential coming in for H2K. They are ready to make plays. They have the Petrifying Gaze. They have the Glacial Prison coming in.
Wait, what?
Trundle now locked on the top side.
The Rumble jungle. So this was a bit of a bait and switch coming out from the Unicorns. This is a pick from back in spring when Xerxes played it. We have not seen this in competitive play for a while. It kind of fell out of favor after some of the Rumble nerfs that he experienced, where you had a massive increase on the cooldown to your Q, which means that your jungle clear speed is affected pretty heavily. But it seems like the Xerxes figured out a way to bring it back into their play style, and it could work. It might work.
All right, Benny's never get baited into thinking we have a classic pick ban ever again. Even the Rumble is a flex pick. Of course, we have seen this before, as you mentioned, but H2K maybe not ready for that one. Not ready to have the Trundle up against that J4. We're expecting Rumble to go top. We're expecting a jungle pick to come out last. Probably looked pretty confident as he walked away, saying those final words to his players, knowing that it's the clean slate, as the desk talked about, coming into game 2. No one has any gold advantages coming into this game. Now we're going to have to find out. This is your chance, folks. Head on over to Twitter if you haven't already to wish Trevor Henry a happy wedding at LOL Esports. Hashtag H2K win, hashtag UOL win, depending on where your loyalties lie. So we're getting ready to get into game 2. If it's anything like last game, it is going to be explosive. Gonna have to see, can H2K fire back here in the regional qualifier? It is do or die. You heard it at the start of the day. I'll say it again. H2K looking to come back against the Unicorns of Love, looking to tie up the series. Unicorns of Love hoping they're not giving them a chance.
Now, a quick reminder that the winner of this best of 5 will go on to face Fnatic tomorrow, who will be the final boss. And the winner of that series will be our 3rd seed from Europe that will play in the World's Play-In stage, where they will compete against a number of other regions to then qualify for the 16-team World Championship.
Road does not get any easier from here. The second you're signed up for the Gauntlet, you have the hard way to the World's group stage. Ticket to play-in's what both teams are playing for. And H2K, a lot more of a defensive start coming in. They are not looking to have the same strategy used against them again. Trundle waiting, seeing if they can make something happen. Ping's coming out in the early game. Maybe Unicorns of Love are hoping to lay down a bit of vision, find out where Jankos is going to go.
Now cast your mind back to the Fnatic versus H2K series, Dracos, because what you've got to remember is that we saw Sejuani, and we thought, Jankos, he's just going to farm in the early game. He's not going to really try and force a huge number of plays. He's just going to wait till level 6. The rest of the team, they're going to probably scale up. They have a really good team fight comp, no worries. However, what we actually saw from H2K was a huge investment into the middle lane. Jankos with the repeated ganks and the roams from Che specifically. On the Rakan, the duo of Jankos and Che was so impactful at getting Febiven ahead in the early game. So that's why I'm expecting a little bit more from H2K in this second game. I want to see them try and snowball Febiven and make him one of the star carries to bring H2K back into a win in game 2.
So they dominated the match before. See if they can do it again. Febiven opting for the heal instead of the cleanse. A bit different from what Exile brought to the table.
There's that element of risk, but I suppose he's not that afraid of the Rumble follow-up. Maybe he should be at level 6. But also this 2 versus 2 lane, Xayah Rakan, always considered very, very strong. People will always lock it in if they can. But the thing about Tristana Alistar is Tristana can match the early wave clear coming out from the Xayah, but also she just naturally trades pretty well into the Xayah because of her explosive charge. And then every time the Rakan comes in, boom, Alistar, he has the choice. He can either knock up the Rakan and then you focus him down, or he just knocks away the Xayah and prevents her from getting involved in the fight. But also it creates a gap that means that Rakan is kind of left in the middle of a fight without any clean way to get out of there. So Alistar often considered a very good pick into this Rakan specifically.
But both bot lanes with a lot of setup. See how they want to play this laning phase out. See where the junglers put their attention. Will it be mid lane, as you mentioned? Will the top side finally get a little bit more love? Where are the plays going to happen? Because Xerxes on this Rumble, I would not call this a ganking jungler from what we have seen, but would not be the craziest thing in the world if Unicorns of Love found a way to make it happen.
But you have a really good point there. We haven't talked at all about this Rumble jungle. We haven't seen it in ages, Dracos. And it was Xerxes, one of the players that did make it very popular. And again, Rumble had Nurse to the Q cooldown. And that hurt his early clear a lot because of how long it takes to charge up, and also some changes to how the Enrage bar, I forget the name of it.
Heat.
The Heat, that's the Badger. Affected the early clear, but Xerxes, he's found ways to make it work, and now there's a bit of action up in the top lane.
And Yanko's leaping forward. Vizicachi gonna have to flash to safety, flash forward from Odoamne. They're looking to get an early kill down here onto Vizicachi. Not a lot that Xerxes can do. In comes the flail. And that's gonna be first blood picked up for H2K. Seven though. Ooh, very close in the mid lane, but still impressive play from H2K on the top side, really collapsing and punishing Unicorns of Love. I think a little over aggressive from Vizicachi.
Yeah, so Chachi, he pushed up the wave a little bit too much, and Odoamne, he saw that Jankos had the path in through the Tri-Brush, and he started the fight off first. So here's the key thing, you'll notice, the passive, the 4-hit passive there from Jankos did a chunk of damage down onto Chachi. Odoamne is able to get the EQ combo, so you also penetrate a lot of early game defense, and that just means that when you stack that with the passive of the Jarvan 2, you chump. And they get that early kill. Yeah. Very valuable for H2K in this early game.
Maybe a little too much confidence coming in from Vizicachi, because Xerxes was a little like secret agent man taking that red buff down. They saw Jankos on the top side. They definitely thought they could just find the 2v1 there immediately. Doesn't work out for them, plays against them. H2K do a good job to punish. Already looking a lot better than the previous game. Checking on the CS, you can see Jarvan definitely dominated. Jankos looking for a return appearance to the top side. Moving forward, definitely going to be able to get the stun. Not going to activate, however. Pulling back, just wanting to push the wave forward, make Vizicachi's life a living hell right now on the top side.
Now the thing is, if Xerxes gets spotted out at all, H2K, they could go for a dive because they know that there'll be no jungle support from the Unicorns. But they don't have that information, so they're not going to risk it. It will cost Jankos his flash, but his goal this game is to try and get Odo ahead. He wants to stop Chachi from being this big split push threat, and that's something we have to talk about because we talked a little bit about H2K's comp and what they want to do in the early game. UOL, they have a few options available to them. Their team fighting is pretty good with an Alistar, Tristana, and the Rumble, but they also have that 4-1 setup too. You have the Trundle, who's going to outscale eventually the Jarvan in the 1 versus 1. And you have a lot of wave clear and disengage from the format unit of the Unicorns, so they can just look to try and play through Chachi. As Exile gets a gank in there.
All comes out, a little bit of CC, Xerxes moving forward, Fevivan in trouble, looks like he will go down, but Odoamne is here to punish, looking for a little bit more. Xerxes now in trouble, Scrap Shield comes out, buying a little time, Hylissang is here.
Gonna get the stun.
Want to get the turn and burn. Odoamne is actually going to drop. Beautiful turnaround from Unicorns of Love.
The roam from Hylissang. H2K were not expecting it. Every time this man goes back, he always looks for another opportunity, but here, he just roamed up from the bottom lane. They took advantage of the Unicorn's superior vision throughout the enemy jungle, and he just wanted to try and help. He was not expecting to get that kill onto Odo, but Odo used his flash earlier on in the top lane, and he ends up losing his life. So another great early game in favor of the Unicorns. So let's see how this all kicks off. H2K, they just come for a bit of a, UOL just come mid for a bit of a gank. Fevivan is still only level 5, so they take advantage of the level 6 point from Exile. And then Hylissang, he appears out of nowhere. He has the stun from his E as well. And they're able to get the turnaround, even though Exile has no mana.
We talked a lot. Xerxes not on a ganking jungler. Hylissang definitely on a ganking support, and this is just yet another great start for the Unicorns of Love. And a great start for Xerxes, now at that level 6 point. Exactly where the jungle Rumble wants to be, and we look at last game, it's just another game in a series of fantastic performances from this man in the jungle.
And the counter jungle percentage is what you want to look at. He spent a lot of his time in the enemy jungle. And also just hanging around his lane, as this guy was extremely active.
Let's add this up. He spent 23.2% of his time in the enemy jungle, 53.5% of his time around his teammates. Very little of his own time was spent in his own jungle, Vedius.
He was very active. He did a really good job, and he's already helping his team off to a good start. And, you know, you said, yeah, Rumble, not the best ganking jungler, but Syndra really good at setting up ganks. You see a bit of trading down the bottom lane.
Clear and Shay not getting scared. Getting scared off by the aggressive play coming in there. Still managed to pull out okay in that trade. They've been playing a lot more cautious. There in the mid lane, Exile looking to throw forward. Will have the opportunity to stun up, but Odoamne is here. Down goes the equalizer. Fevivan still up, trying to dish out damage, but cannot get in any further. Ward goes down over the wall. Exile on the way in. Fevivan just has to run, tail between his legs, down to the mid lane. Odo trying to get out. Stun doesn't connect. Oh, is going to make it to safety in the end. Nice escape comes in from Odo. H2K not going to lose anything there.
But here comes Hylissang. He's rushed the Moby boots. He wants to get a gank onto mid.
This cow is relenting, man. Unrelenting.
H2K, they see him. They see him. You know he can't go for that Hylissang. Come on. There we go.
He's just trying to stop the back. I hope.
He's
could also try to dive the tower. That would be a classic
He saw
Hylissang
red
move.
on the Casio, and he was like,
It is the perfect champion for Hylissang, if we're honest.
No, I've heard that's actually a bit of a myth, because bulls are colorblind, so they can't actually see the red.
You know, man, you're ruining history right now. And my childhood, if we're honest.
So, red buff going to be taken for Xerxes.
Sorry, what buff?
For a bit of a bit of a roam.
Vizichachi will get stunned up. Exile is here to back up. Jankos not going to go any further. And I got to say, from game 1 to game 2, it does look, Vedius, to me at least, that H2K are giving a lot more respect over to the Unicorns of Love, playing a lot safer in a lot of those scenarios.
Really enjoying the play style from the Unicorns. It's great to see this prep really coming into fruition. And we also talked at the beginning of the cast about mental fortitude, Dracos. I feel like H2K, from their playstyle so far, have not been negatively impacted. We've seen a few good early ganks coming out from Jankos. We've seen a few roams from Jay, just a little bit slower from that of Hylissang. But now, he is level 6. He's decided to go for an early Sightstone rather than early Mobies, but there's no flash on Exile, and I think H2K, they could be looking for a gank in mid lane themselves.
Well, now I'm just waiting for the next big play to come in. See where teams want to invest their resources. Vedius.
Yes, mate.
Very different game coming into game 2. H2K doing a good job of slowing it down. Samix and Hylissang, it's no blood in the water, but I think it's their own blood. The engage is going to come in from Samix. He wants to leap to safety. Jankos leaping forward. That's going to be enough. Another caller comes out. Hylissang going to make it out with his life, but a nice pickup from H2K.
Hylissang played that as well as he could, body blocking the ultimate from Jankos, but the CC was too much. The follow-up damage from Nuclear as well. They're able to get themselves a return kill, equalize the kill score, and they're on track to get the first tower of the game.
Exactly what H2K fans want to see. H2K keeping it together. Hylissang doing what he can to clear the way, but this is very aggressive. Does get the stun down. Hylissang is going to drop in the end. Hoping to get a kill back, though. Tower aggro traded perfectly. Flash forward. Double daggers. Hylissang drops.
But he's bought time for the rest of the Unicorns of Love to move to the top lane, and they may be able to get first tower of their own.
Odo has to be careful. Exile is on the way. Xerxes taking up the tower, but it's going to drop. They're hunting for Jarvan. Last time Odoamne made it out. This time I don't think it's the case. Vedius, he's running for his life. Out comes the Subjugate. That's a Dark Sphere. Oh, one more. Gonna do it. Subjugate final tick, going to take him down.
So the Unicorns, good response from the initial play that came out from H2K. They find an opportunity down. They finally get that bot lane gang to work, Dracos. Third time's the charm, as they always say. They get the kill, they get the tower. They also get 2 of those kills down onto Nuclear. So already an Essence Reaver completed on the AD carry. So H2K in a much better position than they were in game 1. Let's have a look back at how this all happened. No vision in the river from the Unicorns. The engage from Jay is extremely strong on the Rakan. Samix was not fast enough to react. And then Hylissang, he does what he can to try and buy some time, keep the tower alive. He uses his ulti. He thinks that if he can just keep one member of H2K underneath the tower for long enough, then maybe he can get the kill. But here you can see Jankos. The passive has just come up. The moment he goes on to Hylissang, the passive gets propped, but he's still tanking a lot of damage. You also have the shield. He tanks 4 tower shots. And then he's able to walk away. And then Hylissang, he just knocks him out of
barely
range.
out of tower aggro.
Feels bad, man.
Brutal exchange. Now we watch Unicorns Love on top side. Honestly, there's not a whole lot Odoamne can do here. Almost makes it out in the end if it wasn't for the dot on the Subjugate. Probably would have been fine, but Unicorns Love, they just don't hesitate to burn those resources to get this follow-up kill. Yep.
And it's a very smart play from the Unicorns. They didn't try and react by counter-ganking the bottom lane. They just made the cross-map play. Now the game is very even.
At the end of the day, it's a small goal lead for the Unicorns of Love, but a much closer game compared to what we saw previously. It's a good look overall. H2K trying to keep this game moving forward at a rapid pace as they set up plays around the middle lane.
Now, what I'm interested to see from the Unicorns specifically is how they approach the mid game. Because What I would expect is for them to play a 4-1 setup where you have the 4-man unit outside of Trundle grouping up, clearing out waves, making life difficult for H2K want to try and force a bunch of fights, while Chachi just wins off on the side lane. But that's not really the Unicorn style. They've been more about grouping up as a 5-man all the time. And so I wonder whether or not they will just find ways of getting Chachi involved in the fights and how he will play them, because I think Trundle can be difficult, especially against a Xayah Rakan, to really get into the thick of things. Or if they will play this 1-4 style.
Also the Jarvan, very good at stopping that Trundle from going anywhere. Stopping Syndra from being effective in those fights as well, as if he has enough health to survive. Good engage opportunities coming in from both squads. Want to see what they're going to do. Level 10 to level 9. Vizichachi with a pretty decent lead over his lane opponent. 120 CS to 90, but now it's a fight around the Dragon Pit. Down goes the Equalizer. Hylissang trying to keep him locked up in the middle of everything. Jankos fires back, but the shot goes wide, and that means advantage to Unicorns of Love. Dragon 2k health and dropping. Odoamne's on the back side. Stun going to be flashed away. Flag and drag is up and available. Shay waiting in the wings, looking for that engage. Febiven can blast cut over the wall, but uses it to escape instead, and that will be the Dragon for the Unicorns of Love.
So Unicorns do try and force the fight. Now Febiven getting low.
Ulti comes out. Samix on the way in. Stun does connect. Looking for a little bit more damage. I don't think that's going to be enough.
I think he'll be fine.
Makes it out. Pops in midair. Does survive in the end, but so much pressure now in the favor of Unicorns of Love, even after getting the Mountain Drake. Nuclear does what he can on the side lane. The Unicorns of Love are pushing in for that tower. Vizichachi, though, will he stay too long? Stun connects. Hylissang looks to keep the fight going. Odoamne takes so much damage. Leap forward. Down he goes. Unicorns of Love want to keep the fight going. Samix is unscathed and moving forward. Vizichachi and Xerxes trying to tank. In goes one more rocket jump. Samix is going to grab another one. Doesn't even need to leap out. Unicorns of Love take the fight.
Unicorns wanted to get that mid tower. They forced Febiven back. They knew that Nuclear was nowhere near because he was pushing out the bot lane, and they felt like they were in a great position to force that tower down. H2K, they tried to defend it, and I feel like they should have just given it up. Keep your eyes here. They only have 3 members. Cassio is top lane. Nuclear is bot. 5 members of the Unicorns. Yes, they used a lot of ultis, but they still have a lot of damage available. They walk underneath that tower. They rip through the 3 members of H2K, and they win another fight in classic Unicorn style, group up 5-man, and make action happen.
Oh god, the damage in that last fight. And that, I mean, the zeros, a lot of people weren't involved, you know? A lot of people just weren't there. So, Unicorns of Love continue to do very well, and I think when I look back, right, after game 1, I think we're quick to say, H2K, you can't afford to fall that far behind again. But if we remember what we thought at the start of the series, Vedius, it was that H2K needed to dominate the early game, or Unicorns of Love would crush them. H2K, though, looking to come back, are going to get the knock up on Vizichachi. He should be an easy kill pickup for the squad. Now maybe they can hope to get more as well. Good kill for H2K.
I feel like H2K are doing this a lot. When in doubt, kill Chachi. They did it twice in game 1, and now they're looking to do it game 2. But Unicorns of Love, they're not letting that kill go unanswered. Samix already pushing in the mid. And look at Hylissang, he's looking for a kill.
Waiting, gonna pull back. Doesn't want to get too aggressive. Realizes that they are the ones being collapsed on. Nuclear continues to be the side lane threat on this Xayah. Trying to push for a few more towers, but Exile not gonna let it happen. He moves on the top side of the map. Not gonna matter though. Mid lane where we need to keep our attention, because Hylissang, itchy trigger finger, seeing red. They're not gonna go in the end.
H2K, they're funneling a lot of their resources into Nuclear on this Xayah. We're gonna have to keep our eyes on the AD carry for H2K to be one of the big carries for this team. I feel like that he has the potential to do it. We've seen this man shine in team fights before, but he's never really been that reliable AD carry that you often expect to be the superstar for H2K.
It's going to take a lot, too. This is not an easy team to play Xayah against. You don't have the rocket jump. You don't have the reposition. Yes, you have the Feather Storm, but it's not. The only burst damage you're blocking is Exile. Everything else is the sustained damage, the sustained threat on the side of Unicorns of Love. Difficult road for H2K if they want to come back in this. Still not a massive deficit, though. We have to remember, only 1K difference separating them, only 18 minutes into the game. But yeah, honestly, Unicorns of Love do look like the team that is making things happen.
Yeah, I think that this is still a very even game, as you already said. H2K, they're happy scaling too. Their composition really good in the 5v5 later on. The only real frontline from the Unicorns of Love is Hylissang, and you could argue Chachi. Once he uses his Subjugate onto a tank. But aside from that, like, there's a lot of squishy members on the side of the Unicorns. which makes it that much easier for H2K to just focus whoever they want, really. They can hit the person in front of them, and that person will melt much faster than, say, a Jankos would. But the other thing to remember is that Xerxes level 11 on a Rumble and is 105. That is a lot of damage.
Yeah, 105 is pretty impressive, but let's remember the man we expected to just sit in lane and not die is now dominating. Exile, 0 isolated deaths. When we look at Misfits, he died constantly, man. He felt this was a bad series for him, but now he's looking like a completely different player. This is the Exile we used to talk about in spring, in summer of last year, even when he was playing Rise, when he was outplaying people across the board. This is the mid laner that Unicorns of Love hired. This man is now executing so well.
And it is great to see the Unicorns using their time effectively. Xerxes said on an interview that Unicorns will go to Worlds. That is their goal. And you can see from their playstyle that they want it. But H2K, they want it too. And as we keep saying, they're not at such a big deficit that this game is over yet. But things are starting to get difficult for them. The side lane is falling further and further behind for Odo Amne. That Syndra is very strong and is capable of forcing fights along with Hylissang. Again, Nuclear will be the man to watch. He can still be the big turning point for H2K in the fights to come. It's all about the setup and how H2K make these fights happen.
And 3-0 Xayah, decent place to put your hopes. Flash forward from Jay, going to be the disengage, running forward with the quickness though, is going to get the double taunt up. Exile is off to the side, going to try to make it out. In comes the equalizer, looking to get the fight started. Featherstorm keeps Nuclear safe for now, is going to pull it back and get the double snare. Xerxes on the backside, Che hoping to lock him down. So far, 1 kill going down in the favor of H2K. They're keeping the fight going. They're going to pick up Xerxes. Samix, all on his lonesome, will flash out to safety. But that's a fight won for H2K.
The fight looked a little scattered and spread out and not optimally set up from the side of H2K, but they make it work because the Unicorns split apart. H2K formed these small skirmishes where Nuclear was free to just focus down Chachi. And you can see this initial engagement here. Bit of a mess from Jay because he doesn't get onto the target that he wants, which is Xerxes. That allows Hylissang to get straight onto the backline, but now Chachi, he's cut off from the rest of the fight. Tristana is not even involved. And look, Chachi, he drops before Xerxes, who also then drops to the side of Odo Amne and Jay. And it's because Unicorns of Love all spread out. They weren't clumped as a 5. They weren't able to use that 5-man unit. But also, it comes back to what we were saying earlier, where this composition not really built for team fighting. They're much better in the 4-1, relying on Chachi to be that side lane threat.
And they were in the 4-1. Samix was the one. He was not there. If they don't have a composition built for team fighting in the same way H2K did. You already said that, but you have to be there as 5 if you want to force those fights. Say, you're right, felt a little sloppy from H2K, but good that they pulled the trigger when Samix wasn't around. And it does work out for them in the end. However, Unicorns of Love still with the gold lead. Still in control. You can see still pushing in the mid lane pretty relentlessly.
But it would make me feel better. It would give me a bit of a confidence boost if I'm H2K, knowing that we just won a fight against the Unicorns of Love. Yes, they were a little scattered. Yes, they weren't entirely together, but in terms of morale, in terms of focus, it's got to give you some benefit. Now, in terms of vision, definitely in the favor of UOL. They've got a lot of wards around this Baron area, but thanks to the Scuttle Crab, H2K, they're no slouch either. It's very much... And they've got that very sneaky ward just in there. It will be spotted out by the control. So now H2K have lost vision around the Baron area. And this is where things start to get tense for both teams.
We know this dance. Exile comes out of the brush. The ward in the mid lane does give H2K a lot of information. Moving around, Jankos is off to the side. They see Unicorns of Love in the pinch. Exile retreats. Samix in a lot of trouble here, leaping forward. Oh. Beautiful play from Odo Amne. Not going to be a chance for Samix to make it out in the end.
That was so good from Odo. He knew that he was going to get knocked back from the Tristana ultimate, so he flashes, uses his ulti, which cannot be interrupted by CC, to then avoid the knockback from Samix. They've just killed their AD carry. The dance is now suddenly in control of H2K. They've reclaimed all the vision. Let's see how UOL answer.
Pressure though, still Unicorns of Love relentless and pushing forward. Vizicachi threatening to go on to Febiven. Febiven not too scared. Once again, the pressure just feels like it's given up. Unicorns of Love, they're moving forward, but an excellent play coming in from H2K. They just need to keep that momentum going.
Now this is arguably a little risky from Odo, but he knows what he can do there. The flash ulti from Odo, knowing that he cannot be displaced. And with the follow-up from Febiven, they're able to get the kill.
Beautiful use of that part of the kit. Something we see very well utilized. against Gragas players. Of course, ulti utilized by Jankos. Not going to connect, however.
We'll just get the flash out from Exile. That's going to be a big deal in fights to come. Small advantages coming out from H2K. You can see they're still trying to be proactive, not just giving the entire map over to the Unicorns. This is what we wanted to see more from H2K.
And a win here will tell us so much about H2K moving forward. If they can find a win in this game, to beat Unicorns of Love in the mid-game, 23 minutes, almost that 25-minute point we talk about, with a team fighting composition, would be a lot of confidence, as you mentioned. Would be a good look for the series and H2K moving forward. But Unicorns of Love, if they can get that second win, if they can move to match point, it's a terrifying prospect.
Now, the biggest thing here is that H2K are about to have a teleport advantage over the Unicorns of Love. Dragon is up, but being a Cloud Drake is likely not going to be the biggest of priority for either teams. However, it gives H2K the freedom to just keep Jarvan off on a side lane and be a threat towards these tier 2 towers. Instead, they're actually going to bring him back, likely going to send him up top to get that wave pushing as well. And look, Chachi, he's now gone back to base. He has to... Oh no, he actually decided to cancel it. But the moment they see Chachi go off onto a side lane, that is the opportunity that H2K are looking for to try and force a fight.
And I'm just waiting. Everyone is grouped up, Vedius. Everyone is walking as a team from point to point, looking to secure this vision.
A lot of wards from UOL.
And this has to be a nerve-wracking point in the game. You know you face check the wrong bush and you die. You lose Baron, potentially the game as well. Guns are loaded, game being played on a knife's edge. Anyone could take the next fight. H2K moving forward, pushing for a bit of vision. Unicorns of Love not going to take the bait, not going to fight on H2K's terms. But H2K do manage to clear the vision out, and that's a very small win. Those small advantages you were talking about, Vedius.
Who's going to pull the first move, Drake? Because it feels so tense. You know?
I feel like if we talk about anything else, he's immediately going to head.
Yeah, exactly. You've just been like, oh, how's the weather? Boom, engage. But H2K, they have pressure on mid. They see Chachi down bot. His TP is coming up soon. And given that you will have the safety of that tower, H2K decide to pull off. Now they move back towards the Baron. They get some vision. And they also have top slow pushing in their favor. It has been picked up by the Unicorns.
Let's test it, Vedius. Hey, Vedius.
Yes, mate.
How's the weather?
The weather, it's actually pretty rough today. A little rainy, a little gloomy.
Okay, it doesn't work.
It doesn't
not even a little bit. What?
Oh!
Moving forward. H2K ready for a fight, pulling back. Once again, pressure mounts, but both teams taking it slow. H2K, not like Unicorns of Love. When Unicorns of Love had that lead in the previous game, not looking to take the big risks. If they're going to force and engage, they want it to be perfect. They're waiting for that chance.
Now remember, H2K, they have been playing from behind for a lot of this game. They got that early gank up top lane, but after that, Unicorns, they got a double in the mid. Odo fell very far behind Chachi and is still behind him in terms of being that side lane threat. H2K, they've been able to claw back their lead. They are still a tower down, and that pretty much is the only goal that separates the two teams right now. So they've done a good job of being able to close this gap. They did win that fight earlier on around the middle lane. So well, they're showing a lot more respect to their opposition. They know that they don't have the same sort of advantage. And fights will be hard for them. I feel like Unicorns, they have to rely on this split pushing Chachi. But I don't know if I have the confidence in the team just yet to properly execute this 1-4 strat.
See, though, right now it's about pushing in the mid lane. We'll leave the side lane unattended, both TPs up and available, both sides ready to join a fight if necessary. And Vizichachi may be strong, may be able to keep the pressure up, but he can't tower dive the Jarvan quite yet. So not going to be the end-all, be-all. Vedius, the Battle of Baron Vision is always so interesting to watch. And not always a battle we see Unicorns of Love be proficient at, but I feel like they are giving a lot of respect and the necessary respect over to H2K in this game, despite having that small lead that you talked about.
Thing is, UOL recognize the engage tools of H2K, and I think that as long as they just keep H2K busy without them starting the Baron, it's fine because of Chachi on this side lane. But Chachi just keeps following Odo. He keeps trying to move, steal away some of these camps. He's not threatening that tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. So H2K kind of like, we're fine with this as Odo goes on to Chachi.
Ult's going to come out here. Here's the Chachi. Waiting to pull the trigger on the Subjugate. That is going to be a massive source of healing when he does decide to use it. Flash to safety, blast cone out. Che goes over the wall. That's a beautiful read. Dragon now aggroed. Vizichachi now knocked back, but Subjugate is healing him up. He's all alone. Unicorns of Love, they know he's already dead. They're moving to the Baron. Eyes on the Baron, folks. H2K have to stop it, but they have the man advantage.
The Unicorns were just too slow to make this play. They realized that they were too pushed underneath their tower from the 4-man unit of H2K. So the moment Chachi appeared on those Raptors, Odo forces the fight. He knows that H2K can get the faster collapse. They get the kill. That side lane threat is no longer there. And H2K, they're the ones in full control of the Baron. Now the question is, do they try and force it without the Jarvan ultimate?
Knock up, grand entrance, and a grand exit as well. No one there to follow up on the team. Not going to take the risk. But the mid lane will be pressured in. That tower is going to mean the gold has now been evened up. No difference between these teams outside of the Mountain Drake and their respective compositions. Gold is dead even.
And look at Febiven now, 3-1-0. Morello and Abyssal Mass completed, working towards that Archangel staff. The guy that was put behind in the early game, Exile, who's been having a fantastic game so far, is now being caught up to by the Snake Lady.
Vedius, but look at H2K's vision. Have to use the blue trinket to see the pit, because they have so much vision, but not in the pit, on the Unicorns of Love jungle instead.
They had to go back, restock the wards. I don't know if they know. Now they know.
Now they know. Moving forward, Samix is going to make it out to safety. Has leaped in, the follow-up engages there, and it looks like Samix is gone. So many engage tools, but he makes it out. They're moving forward. Jankos is hungry for blood, but they're just going to be able to find a disengage. Now they've got their sights set on Exile, but a beautiful equalizer to disengage. Hylissang looking to turn this one back, punishing H2K for that engage. No one has died yet, and Vizicachi is still pushing in on the bottom side.
Now, this is a good opportunity for the Unicorns of Love because a lot of ultimates and summoner spells were used on the side of H2K. No one is left to answer Chachi, who still has his TP up, but he's not going to commit to the tower. I don't know why, Dracos. I feel like that should have been a free objective for the team.
Oh, now it might be Hylissang who has been caught out. No chance to hit anybody else. Still the ultimate up and available. Vizicachi running in, hoping to find the flank. Gonna move forward onto Odoamne, but the flag and drag right past him. There's no engage follow-up there.
I'm a little confused, Dracos, gotta be honest. UOL, they're gonna start the Baron.
All right, moving in. H2K on the way to try to punish. Let's see if Unicorns
This is quick. I think they've got this.
Moving in. Jay wants to try and get something. Jankos has been knocked out by Hylissang. That's a hero play for the Unicorns of Love. They are going to secure the Baron. It cost them Hylissang's life, but now H2K looking to fire back. Xerxes is in trouble. Stunned up in mid-air from Odoamne. Gargoyle Stoneplate going to take him out to safety. Vizicachi now in trouble as he runs for his life. Clean cuts going in. So is the Glacial Prison, but it's not enough to lock down the Constable. Trundle Exile tries to fire back, but it's Febiven who's here to play. He's looking for a little bit more damage. Samix gets taken out as well. Nuclear 1v1 against the 80 carry. Rips through him, and Vizicachi is next on the menu. H2K may have given up the Baron, but they take the fight.
Unicorns recognize that they can get the Baron, but H2K recognize that they can get the fight. One of the big front lines, the tanks in Hylissang, ends up dropping as the Baron goes down. They know they have a Jarvan, a Sejuani, a Rakan. The chase potential is strong. So they go for it, they get a couple kills, but they don't take every Baron down. Cersei defends the tower successfully.
Not going to get a tower as well, but they will find a small gold advantage. However, when the Unicorns of Love respawn, they will be in control. Still 2 minutes and 30 seconds on that Baron.
Very close game here, Dracos. H2K, they are able to answer back all the moves that Unicorns try to make, and it's H2K that come out with the gold lead. 4 towers to 3 now. They've now started to build themselves a slight advantage. And
just the Baron buff on Xerxes. They're running forward. Nuclear could be in. He has no summoner spells. Going to run for a little bit more. So much damage on the Electral Harpoon just as the ulti comes in, but it's too little too late. That's the pickoff for Unicorns of Love.
That's some fried chicken right there for Xerxes. He's going to enjoy that. So let's see how this Baron plays out. Hylissang, he's just trying to play spoiler. Standing in the way of Jankos, denying the steal. Holds onto his ultimate a little bit too long, arguably, but regardless. And this is where H2K realize, we have Cheoff on the flank. We know we can go for this chase. UOL think, oh, maybe we can actually win this fight. Maybe we should stick around. But then the ulti comes out from Vizicachi and they're like, okay, no, this isn't good. Febiven flashes in. He gets very, very low, but he has enough shield and heals to keep him alive. Samix is called off from the rest of his team. He can't win that 1v1 against Nuclear. And the Unicorns of Love just collapse as H2K find a successful fight.
You can see Febiven and Nuclear. These are the carriers you want to see succeed in these fights, and they're definitely doing it. Dishing out so much damage, doing so much damage in the previous fight. Exile and Samix in a similar boat. Exile now just doing what he can to poke down the opposition, and with that Void Staff, he just cuts through Odoamne. It's going to be difficult for him to stay toe-to-toe with Exile for any period of time. And now Unicorns of Love may have their sights set on the bottom side of the map.
Finally, they could have gotten it earlier, by the way, Dracos. They had the choice. He wasn't contested. And now now.
Moving forward,
He's dying.
Vizichachi now trying to run for his life. Making it out. Subjugate's still ticking. He will still heal up, but Jankos is looking to start the fight. Oduwamne is trapped 3 in the middle of everything. Hillisang wants to stop this in its track. Exile and Samik still untouched on the back line, but it's the same story for Nuclear and Fevivin. The carries from H2K are still dealing so much damage, but the ulti comes out. The shutdown's gonna drop. Exile still hungry for more, but can't stray any further.
Nuclear doing a lot of work in these fights, but when you funnel into these choke points, these big damage-dealing mages could do a lot of work. Now H2K, they want to get a trap on Samix. He's going to recognize it and walk away. But I wonder why Unicorns keep falling prey to these fights. They keep giving H2K exactly what they want. And even though on this occasion, H2K do not successfully come out on top, it is still a dangerous scenario for UL to keep putting themselves in.
It's a bit of a rough game for Vizichachi. Vedi has 6 deaths. What?
He must have been looking somewhere else right there.
Oh, that... I mean...
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Chachi not having the best performance this game. Really good ultimate there from Odo. The problem was, for the H2K, was Hillisang did a great job of zoning some of the key damage dealers from following up. So he just soaked up a lot of the damage, he got in the way, and because Fevivin overextended just a little bit, he didn't have his summoners available. Exile did the one-shot outplay, and they ended up trading 1-for-1 overall. So good individual plays from either side, as the goal is suddenly equalized once more.
Individually, though, I would like to see Vizichachi not chop in enemy territory. But, of course, it is a mistake that Unicorns of Love have recovered from. Gold's still dead, even. Only difference is the Drake's just the same as it was 5-6 minutes ago. So much has happened. So much action has occurred on the screen, but the team's still trading evenly. 178 gold Baron power play.
That's less than a kill.
It just shows you, H2K fired back. They got all the gold that Unicorns of Love and Vizichachi got from that Baron, from the fight that followed.
And I'm loving this from H2K, demonstrating that they will not be controlled by tilts. They will not be put down. They will still find answers. They're still keeping calm, collected, maybe looking for another fight.
Backing off, Vizichachi will get stunned up. Fevivin, though, and Nuclear struggling to get into position. The superior range of Tristana starting to count for them. Samix needs to make it out to safety, but Oduwamne comes over the wall immediately onto Exile. The chain CC is there, but they're still alive. The Syndra is still alive. Macking it out. No, Oduwamne, the Dragon Strike finds Purchase. Oh, now running, but H2K in complete control. Che looking for a little bit more. The flash out from Samix. This is H2K's show, however. They just want to push it up the mid lane.
And Unicorns not utilizing Chachi in a side lane and bringing him into the 5v5s. Constantly falling prey to this great team fighting composition of H2K as they move as a 5-man unit into the top lane and look to break into the base of the Unicorns.
Looking to knock down the first inhibitor. Big advantage for H2K, even if the gold may not show it. 36 minutes into the game. Hillisang, though, not quite so content. Give that one up for free. Looking to find the flank.
Back away now, H2K. They shouldn't overcommit to this. They've gotten a good lead here. Don't keep fighting.
Jankos has a different plan. The team moving forward. Hillisang just going to use the ulti. May just get burned down here. Auto attack will stun. Now running for his life. Fevivin pushing in for the kill. Knows it's going to fall off. The flash forward, the pull. But it's Hillisang who goes too far.
They're still here.
Stun moving in. Flash out from Nuclear. TP on the backside. Here comes the Trundle. Exile moving in. Fevivin will get taken down, but it's a mid laner for mid laner trade. Samix is off to the side. How much damage can he do? Moving in. He's going to get burned. H2K just keep the fights going. So much confidence from this lineup.
We talked about Nuclear needing to be the player to watch as he does so much damage in these late game fights. They're gonna try and end the game right here. They still have a minion left.
Equalizer coming down. No minions are left. It's gonna be impossible to take that tower. Che wants to keep the fight though. Vizichachi. Che trying to body block the Electro Harpoons as well. Nuclear is still alive. Out comes the Featherstorm. Where's the Blade Collar gonna land? Not even gonna need it. Just pulls it out for style in the end. H2K dominating Unicorns of Love.
H2K gets so many kills after one great team fight for them in the middle lane. 8, 1, and 7 on H2K's AD carry. This bottom lane is doing a huge amount of work for the team as we progress into the late game.
Oduwamne moving forward. Baron in the sights. He may be the sacrificial lamb for the team. Flag and drag still up and available, however. And that's going to be the Baron burning down. Xerxes no chance to get over the wall. Doesn't want to burn his flash there. With an inhibitor already down, this is very much H2K's game to win.
And it's H2K always finding these great fights onto the Unicorns of Love. I hope we get a replay of that last fight, because the big thing that happened that fell apart for the Unicorns was Hylissang and Odo swapped places. Hylissang tried to interrupt the engage from Odo Omne, but it did not get interrupted. So in the earlier fight, the fact that Odo was able to get onto the back line allowed them to just stay onto the 2 carries. The follow-up from Che as well just meant that players like Febiven, the CC from Jankos, was so much that they ended up getting the kill onto the mid lane, and with Syndra gone, a lot of the damage just kind of disappears because Xerxes is too squishy to stick in the middle of these fights. And this is H2K just sticking around in the base. Arguably a little bit too long, but they knew that as long as they keep Nuclear alive, they could win. And you could just see why with the immense damage that he's able to output.
Yeah, you may be hard to get close to the Tristana, but if you get close enough, you definitely out-damage her as that Xayah. See the items completed too. Doesn't even need armor penetration right now, that is. He is here to kill squishies. Nuclear is ready for a fight. Third BF sword item coming in. Looks like it will be the Bloodthirster just to round it all out. Unicorns Love can still come back. Team fight wins, still a possibility, but it is much, much harder.
I feel like they needed to rely a little bit more on Chachi earlier on, but a failure to do so has now resulted in H2K having this pretty significant lead. With the Baron, it's going to be difficult for UOL to hold the line. They've already lost their top inhib, and it's going to be on H2K to make a big mistake in order for UOL to come back.
Have to protect Xi on Samix. That's where all of the damage is, but Odo Omne can interrupt that all. One good Cataclysm can win H2K the game. One good Glacial Prison. A little bit of CC lands, and everything could go wrong for the Unicorns of Love. Vizichachi, though, still fearless. Not worried about his scoreline, worried about the win. Keeping his eyes on the prize, but honestly, H2K playing this out slow and steady, exactly how we expect them to when they have this kind of lead. Ooh, that is so tense. I'm never 100% convinced the Unicorns of Love are out of the game until they lose fight in their own base. And Hylissang, though, looking to start one. Vizichachi moving forward. Where's the equalizer going to go? Major damage tool comes in. That's going to be the stun for Exile. Leaping forward. He is going to get Che, but he's going to give up his own life in the exchange. That is the worst deal in the history of deals. And now they're pulling back, retreating as Febiven finds yet another kill. H2K cleaning up the fight. And Unicorns of Love falling back. Samix is still alive, still holding on to hope, but it's too little, too late for the Tristana as Vizichachi drops. Odo Omne is still alive. Samix gonna go down, and H2K are gonna tie up the series with a triple kill from Nuclear.
So H2K, they find their way back. The late game team fighting went well for them. The first few fights, their engages looked a little haphazard, didn't look entirely optimal, but they were always with the intention of punishing the poor positioning or the out-of-place members that were on the side of Unicorns of Love.
And on the one hand, I feel like Vizichachi got caught out a lot, but at the same time, the way Odo Omne played Jarvan in that game was so good. That one fight, multiple fights, I think, where he canceled CC using the CC invulnerability on the ultimate. It cannot be interrupted. Such a good mechanic. This man clearly comfortable in the champion.
And I think you have to give a lot of credit as well to Che and Nuclear, the bottom lane, because Che, he found a lot of really good engages. He did miss one or two here and there, but he got onto those primary targets, and Nuclear's damage was just so impressive throughout the game.
Definitely an impressive shift coming in for H2K. They bounced back to tie that series, and for more on that game, let's head over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Verius there mentioned Nuclear and Che, and if we take a look at the draft, that's also what was very apparent in their first pick. Obviously, they went for that Xayah, wanting to disrupt the Xayah Rakan and not giving the Rakan over, or the combo at least, which was a great start from H2K. Overall, beforehand, did you think that Unicorns of Love made the right decisions in the draft after game one?
I didn't feel like it was like smart what they did overall. I wish that they would take the Cassiopeia away from Febiven because game one, Exile looked really strong on the Cassiopeia, and I was surprised that they just let Shaya Rakan go to the enemy team like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially because we know Hylissang can play Rakan, like 100%, he's super good at it. But I also think late on in the draft, when we had the Rumble pick coming in, we thought it was going to be Rumble top.
Yeah.
It was setting up for a potential Nidalee last pick, but then they kind of did a little switcheroo and they went Rumble jungle instead and Trundle top. And while I think it was pretty cool mind games, and I think it did definitely surprised H2K a little bit. I think Italy would have been awesome. That being said, I still think Xerxes' Rumble performance, especially in the early game, was fine.
Yep.
So I don't feel like they lost this in draft. I think just in-game, there was a lot of decisions when Unicorns were ahead that was very, very shaky.
Yeah, I think we could clearly see two parts of the game. One is the early game where once again, even though H2K also had some great moves and the expected movements top lane, Unicorns of Love still held even, and that's dangerous when you're playing against H2K, right? Unicorns of Love again getting a bit of an advantage after this.
Yeah, this is extremely risky by Unicorns of Love. Like, they should have just given up the level 3 fight top lane, just try to scale it to the mid game, but...
However...
here, this was pretty good for Unicorns. We thought this is the comeback. This is where we rode off H2K. We were like, okay.
Yeah.
It's over.
I gotta
over,
say,
yeah.
in terms of predictions, you guys know how predictions work, right? You choose something and you stick with it for the
I
entire
said
thing.
H2K from the start.
Well, you changed your vote 4 times between 0 and 15 minutes.
All right,
when we
prove
were watching
that
this game.
again.
All
That's just, he said, she said kind of thing.
Back to the game. So early game, okay for Unicorns of Love, much more even. We're going to take another look at a big dive mid for the Unicorns of Love at 14 minutes. They pick up 3 kills. So at this point in the game, you're thinking, all right, this is working out for them. It's going well. And this is where I feared the most for H2K.
Right, like at this point, like I'm super squishy on this Jarvan here. He's falling behind. He's died quite a lot. And when they try to defend versus 5 members, they just get completely dumpstered. And HK should just back away from the get-go. But it's where Unicorns show really good shot calling here. And I really like the fact that it's fully committing. And it should be over.
Yeah.
Like the game should be so much in their favor now. They can just play around Baron, force HK into a choke point with a Rumble ulti in their face and an Alistar engage, and then that's it.
Like, I feel like Unicorns had all the options in the world to win this game, but their macro is really lackluster. Like, you could see it this game. Like, their side lane control is horrible. They're just grouping mid in the mid game, just looking for opportunities, looking for the enemy to mess up around the mid lane to engage them. But H2K actually played it pretty well and didn't fall for the trap. And
TLDR are not the best team in the world anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Game 1, though.
Game 1. I do want to turn it to H2K and kind of the mental aspect, because in 2017, when H2K have lost the first game in a series, they have only won one of those series in the end. So for me, knowing what happened with the Baron steal in the playoffs in the semifinal, it was so important for me to see, can H2K, now that it's even, come back in a game like this? And they did.
Yeah, I mean, the next replay kind of shows where H2K actually gets back in the game and back in the series as well, because after Unicorns of Love secure the Baron, we get that following team fight where H2K actually get multiple kills against them. And every fight after this is H2K just playing really well in team fights, especially Odo Amna on Jarvan, finding super good engages. And this is obviously where we're kind of screaming, Unicorns just run.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what Hylissang is doing here. They had a free Nash. They could have just ran out together. Hylissang decided to go suicide alone to stop the Jankos from stealing, but he was not even in range. And now here they are turning for no reason. They could just run out. H2K is running them over. And yeah, like when you get Nash, you want to base as soon as possible so you can keep the Nash buffs, reset, get your items, get your new control wards, and then go push. But they lost 4 Nash buffs here, and yeah.
Also, another key thing that happened now this late in the game that made it easy for HK to win fights was that their tanks were starting to get a lot of armor. There was no Last Whisper on Samox. He went for Scimitars, his 4th item, so his damage was very limited. Lockets came in as well against the Rumble, so a lot of key items on the big tanks made it very difficult for the carries on H2K, on Unicorns to actually kill them fast enough. So the Sejuani and the Jarvan just sat in the front with stone plates and lockets and whatever they now have, while it was fairly simple for the Xayah and the Cassiopeia just to again shoot on whatever is right in front of them. And suddenly, Unicorns, it seemed like they just felt like they lacked the damage towards the end here. And after that Baron play, had they just disengaged, they had Baron buff for 3 minutes, they could use that to get a huge lead, but they turn and fight, and that cost them a lot.
That did. I am hearing a lot of bad things by the Unicorns, because given this wasn't the best performance, but I do want to highlight some of the players on H2K, especially after that possible tilt coming in after game 1. Great job from the bottom lane, great job from Jankos. And you said, I don't want to see Jarvan on either side, but then you actually changed and said Odo Amne was a beast in those team fights.
Yeah, like the early game didn't go that well for Odo, but when the team fights started coming, he did some great engages. He was actually the main factor why they came back into this game. But I also want to highlight that the Nuclear and Che played really, really well this game. especially Nuclear, who has gotten a lot of criticism in the last weeks. He really showed up this game.
Yeah, he did a Gilius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proving people.
I saw your brain like, yeah. Okay, so we're sticking with our predictions then. You're back to H2K. You're still on Unicorns of Love.
I don't remember my prediction anymore.
I guess I will just keep my prediction.
I think that's the way to go. Anyway, the score is tied here in round 2 of the regional qualifier. We will be back for game 3 right after this.
Can H2K